But first, the real extremists. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Today, Joe Biden made it official. Mr. Unity will heal the wounds of a divided America by using the power of the entire federal government to harass and investigate his political adversaries. From our bloated intel agencies to the DOJ and FBI, he and Kamala will spy on Americans they don't trust and they don't much like. The Department of Homeland Insecurity sent out a scary-looking bulletin today, which read, "Information suggests that some ideologically motivated violent extremists with objections to the exercise of governmental authority in the presidential transition, as well as other perceived grievances fueled by false narratives, could continue to mobilize to incite or commit violence." Now, pay close attention to that language. Objections to governmental authority. Other perceived grievances. False narratives. Could mobilize, could commit violence. Sounds obscenely vague and hypothetical, right? And then when you read the accompanying press release, DHS admits the truth. They got nothing. DHS does not have any information to indicate a specific, credible plot. But once again, it ominously cites the possibility that they remain concerned due to grievances, ideological causes, and false narratives. Now, this isn't the first time Democrats have tried to justify what would ultimately be an attempt to roll back your civil liberties. Remember back in 2009, Obama's DHS Secretary, Janet Napolitano, warned about radicalized returning veterans and right-wing extremism in general, which she defined as mainly anti-government. It may include groups and individuals that are dedicated to a single issue, such as opposition to abortion or immigration. Now, while the Biden bulletin does make a vague reference to BLM and Antifa, but without naming them, it specifically lumps anti-lockdown protesters into the same category as the Capitol rioters, whom the FBI has apparently put at the top of their most wanted list.
The enormity of this investigation is going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. It's not going to be solved within the coming months. This is going to be a long-term investigation.
The brutality the American people watched with shock and disbelief on the 6th will not be tolerated by the FBI. The men and women of the FBI will leave no stone unturned in this investigation.
Well, we want all the criminals locked up, period. But by the way, that U.S. attorney, it's interesting to note, is the same one who was more than happy to drop charges against dozens of BLM and Antifa rioters over the summer, huh? This, just like keeping thousands of National Guard troops in Washington until the spring, is a choreographed setup piece to justify the left's campaign to intimidate, punish, and silence, ultimately, their political opponents. Now, this effort, it's not just immoral, it's illegal, it's un-American, and in court, in practice, it should be declared unconstitutional. Democrats are making a grave error here. Republicans are going to eventually get back into power. And when they do, they'll leave no stone unturned to investigate all of this. And then the tables are going to be turned on the agencies and the individuals that ended up profiling and tracking innocent Americans. But until then, or until the courts step in, they're going to try to scare you into silent submission. Watch those emails you're sending. If you're a vet who attends an anti-lockdown protest, if you've done, I don't know, sidewalk counseling at abortion centers, if you fly a thin blue line flag, or if you attended a Trump rally, or maybe posted on Facebook against mail-in ballots, then you could be seen as a potential domestic terrorist who could be incited to violence or commit violence, similar to what we saw on January 6th. Let's be clear here. These cheap efforts are so transparent about it. At intimidation, they're not going to work. And it's certainly not going to deter us from fighting for what we know to be true. As the Declaration of Independence makes clear, our rights are inalienable. Our freedom comes from God. And we're never going to give it up to satisfy Biden, Harris, or their media pals. Conservatives, and of course President Trump, have repeatedly and properly condemned all violence, no matter who's committing it. In fact, we've urged the Biden folks to work with us on a whole bunch of issues. And AOC's cabal of radicals, too. Why not? To work with the populace on issues where we can find common ground, everything from China trade to breaking up big tech. There's a lot we could do together, but instead, they've decided, throw that out the window and go scorched earth and spread lies about tens of millions of innocent Americans. If they think that that's the way to stop populism, by attempting to criminalize it, oh boy, they are sorely mistaken. Because today's announcements merely confirm that Trump was right all along. Washington's a swamp, and it's run by shadowy figures who work on amassing power for themselves, rewarding their friends, and robbing the working class blind. I guess that's what they meant when they said that Joe Biden would get back to regular order if he were elected. That's their regular order. The more that Washington's elites prove populist criticisms to be correct, the more pushback they'll see. They should have learned that lesson in 2016, but they may have to learn it again in 2024. Again, let there be no confusion here. Our populist movement is loyal to this country and its political system. We don't have any desire to engage in violence or to undermine our system of government. But we're not going to be silenced. The American people stood up to the Nazis. We stood up to the Soviet Union. We came so far. We addressed past wrongs. We're not going to back down to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, for goodness sakes. And that's the angle.